So today I have something really awesome for you. I'm going to show you exactly how we generated over 310 bathroom remodeling leads for under $5, booked over 41 appointments, and have over $160,000 in closed remodels so far from last month. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how it all works, as well as our system that supported the entire way. So to start, I'm going to walk you through step by step, and then I'm going to show you the back end breakdown of the system here. So to start, we basically used an ad just like this to attract in folks interested in the budgeting and planning phase of their project, where they're looking at cost, they're looking at determining, do I go with high-end fixtures, do I go with a high-end vanity, do I get something completely designed from scratch, what is the best fit for me? And so you can see here, we basically just call out that this is a cost calculator for the area that we're targeting. And so in this case, it's Suffolk County and Nassau counties. Then we send them over to a really simple flow here. It's just a cost estimating tool that we've built, has about 16 questions in it in addition to contact information. So we get things like what type of countertops do you want? What type of quality of vanities? Do you want someone to design your kitchen? Or sorry, your bathroom? A bunch of things like that. I'm going to show you exactly what info we gather in a second here. But they fill out this little questionnaire, this estimating tool, and it doesn't take them 30 seconds or anything like that. This is usually a 4 to 10 minute tool where they go through all of this information because they really want to understand what type of budgeting they're going to need for the project they're after. So after they fill this out, they end up getting submitted through as a lead. And I mean, basically, this is what happened for us in March. So this is for one of our remodelers in New York. They did 310 leads. They spent just under $1,400 and leads under $5. Now, not every lead is a good lead for sure. And that's the reason why we use this cost estimator. We want only the best. And so this is really what we're getting, obviously sanitized for lead info here. But this is exactly what we get. So this one came in end of March here. We get all the information we need to determine quality, at which point that is filtered and then sent over to our appointment setting team in order to get them booked into an appointment only if they are quality, right? So we ask questions like, obviously, are you the homeowner? If it's no, then they're not a lead we're going to touch. Demographics, if we're looking at on the very, very young end, maybe this is just someone playing around with the tool. We don't want that. We want someone who actually likely has the income to spend here. Size of project, we don't want someone who is looking at a super tiny powder room and looking to get the cheapest of the cheap. It's not worth our time. Bathroom design, we actually ask them twice in this survey. Are you interested in having a designer design your bathroom? This is the question asking from scratch. And later on, we ask, are you ready to sit down with a designer for about 30 to 45 minutes to talk through your project in the next couple of days? And it's simple, again, yes, no question. Obviously, if they're looking for a design or they're looking to sit down with a designer, that is a good flag. If they're not, that's a bad flag. Similarly, as we get through this, the size of the project, if they're just looking to swap out a shower, that's probably not a project we want to bother with. Further down here, when we're looking at quality of fixtures, if everything is low quality, they just want the cheapest of the cheap, we wouldn't bother reaching out to this lead, and it wouldn't become someone that we would go further with. But at the very end, just before they give us their contact info, name, email, phone number, we do get that final question, concept design. Do you want to sit down with one of our designers, come up with a concept in the next couple of days? Yes, no. If yes, they move through and it's a lead we usually will contact. If no, then we just don't bother. And of course, we track everything down to the specific ad, the specific messaging, the specific image that's generating us both the lead as well as the appointment, as well as the sale, because it does make a big difference. And in March alone, we figured out exactly what ads were driving the highest value leads, which then led to more appointments and led to even more sales just in the first starting couple of days of this month. So let me break down exactly how this process works for you. And I'm going to show you in some pretty nitty-gritty detail here. But at a high level to start, this is really, what we built this system for. We had a lot of folks that would come to us and they say, hey, I have no good way to get leads, or I'm relying entirely on referrals, or, I just need something that brings me some more leads for my sales team. And really, this is where most folks we work with start. is they're relying on referrals. They don't have consistent lead flow. They don't have quality lead flow. Some of these folks are using Facebook or TikTok or otherwise, and they're just getting a bunch of garbage. Quality is what matters. And when you tie that to consistency, that's really where you win. And so this is the system that we plug them into. We have 4 stages of it. We have our lead acquisition. This is making sure that we're able to capture leads to begin with. This is usually the part that everybody is able to do, whether they do it themselves or through a marketing agency. But all of the other steps are usually what they're missing out on. Getting a lead is only the starting part of the equation, and it's really easy to do. So from there, that's where we get into our lead filtering. And like you saw, we asked 16 questions. That allows us to understand before we even have to talk to someone or spend time, is this a good prospect? Is it not? If it is not, we just don't bother with them. They can move into our nurturing sequence, or maybe they can do a passive sale, but we won't actively be pursuing them as a lead. Then we have our appointment booking system. This is after they've been qualified, after they've been filtered, after they filled out all that information. Then we move them into our appointment engine to get these folks into appointments for an introductory call, that initial design concept call, before they get moved into an in-home appointment. So that way you can further qualify them and ensure that they are the right fit before you have to send someone out where you're going to be spending a lot more time and thus a lot more cost. Then finally, we have our pre-selling system, and this is really what makes all the difference. And this is what we used to get a significant amount more jobs over the line, where we're pre-selling them so that way by the time someone is in front of them, whether it's on a call or whether it's in person, they already know you, they like you, they trust you, and they know the work that you can provide. So they have all the boxes ticked where they're sitting down purely to discuss, is this within budget? Is this the right fit? Is this something that they can take action on? And they're going to be pre-sold into doing all of that and having that work. And it does make your team's lives a lot easier. And so, like I said, that for this remodeler is what generated them over $160,000 in remodels so far. And there's still more to come. We still have more appointments booked. And they're actually pretty booked out at this stage. But that's really what we think is going to get them over the line to that next level that they're after. And so from there, we move them into our remodel growth infrastructure, and that's where we start talking about all the systems that you need to scale to $1 million in new jobs predictably this year in the next 12 months. Beyond that initial push. And this was really the initial push for this particular remodeler. And now they are moving into this structure where we install all of our systems, all of our processes, everything into their business. So that way they can scale as fast as they want. And really the million marker is just our initial benchmark of making sure that all of our systems are running at optimal points, at which point they can scale it in year 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But I'm not going to cover this in any depth today. I'll cover at the very end just how you can learn more about this. But just to give you the idea, we are not looking at this as something like a regular agency where we just do our lead acquisition and we stop there. It's not going to help you any. You need to have all of these systems running at full speed in order to really capture the best value and maximize your profitability. And then if you are interested in taking it to the next level, that's where this comes into play. But let's go a little bit deeper here into each of these steps here, and I'm going to go one by one. So lead acquisition systems, you're probably already familiar with this. Most agencies do this stuff. We'd like to take it a little bit beyond what you typically see, and that's where brand optimization comes into play. So brand optimization is not just going out there and saying, hey, does your Facebook page look good? That's one small piece of many other pieces that have to go right before someone's ready to give you their contact info. So brand optimization for us is, do you have before and after projects and galleries and videos everywhere on your website, on social media, on your Google My Business listing? Do you have that readily available? So if someone sees your ad and they decide to search your brand name, do you come up with all of those past projects so they can really envision the work that you do? That's our baseline of brand optimization. The secondary is going through, is everything consistent? Right? This happens a lot with small business. You have your brand name out there, and maybe you created your Google My Business listing when you started your business. Then you created your Facebook page 10 years later, and then you created your TikTok account 5 years after that. And next thing you know, you have somewhat inconsistent brand names, or website links or otherwise across all these different platforms, that doesn't help you. It makes you look like these are all actually different companies and you just can't get yourself organized. So just making sure that you look the part of a high-end brand, of a brand that someone's going to want to work with, and that you show off the past work that you've done and how much customers love you. That's what we're after in this step. And we do that before we do anything else. No ad goes live, no messaging goes out, nothing goes out, nothing happens until we ensure that you are optimized to look like the highest value brand possible. At that stage, we move right into Facebook. Why Facebook? Because it's consistent, it's relatively low cost, and we can target the right type of customers. In general, folks looking to do their bathroom up or looking to do their kitchen up will be either on the very younger end, meaning they're first-time home buyers, meaning often their budget's not quite there, or they are on the older end, 40 plus, where they've moved into a new home, or they're now looking to renovate their home after they've owned it for a number of years. Facebook's demographics fit that very well. However, we don't just stop there. Facebook advertising is where we drive our cold traffic, meaning folks that don't quite know you yet, but are just seeing those ads for the first time, like the ad that I showed you. But we also remarket, meaning everybody who lands on these landing pages. Let me go back up here and I'll show you that. Anybody who goes to this page also gets remarketed on other platforms, meaning they click to this page. That data gets transmitted over to TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all these other ad platforms. And we then target those people on those ad platforms that we know have actually seen our pages. That way they're super high intent, but that way in case they forgot or they just didn't get through it or life got in the way, because oftentimes these folks are on their mobile phone, maybe they are just in the toilet, you never know. But stuff gets in the way and they forgot to go through all 16 questions because it does take a few minutes. That's fine. That's why we remarket them back to it. So that way, when life is in a better situation, they can spend 10 minutes, they will go ahead and do that. And we do that across all these platforms to capture the further demographics that these platforms allow. So that is what you've probably seen from many, many, many marketing agencies in the past, is they get you the leads and then they stop. And then it's all up to you. That's where we just get started. So lead filtering, by far and away, one of the most important things that you need to have in place. That's why we do 16 questions. That's why we ask budgeting related questions around quality of fixtures, around do you want an actual concept design? Do you want a full remodel or just to replace a shower? We want to understand what's the quality of this person and then track it back to what advertising, what messaging, what imagery is resulting in low quality versus high quality. And that is a continuous feedback loop. We also want hard qualifiers for intent as well as budget. And that's why we ask, do you want to sit down with someone for a concept design within the next few days? So we know there's intent to take action soon. That's why we also ask what the timeline is of their project, because obviously that dictates whether you're looking at a price that could be relatively hard set versus one that might go up based on inflation or otherwise. We have those qualifiers in there to really determine, is this quality? Because someone can say, yeah, they're interested in spending the biggest amount and all that. But if their timeline is 6 years out, they're a waste of time. They're a waste of time, they're a waste of money. We want to understand that qualification and then feed that data back into our lead acquisition systems. Then we move right into appointment booking. This is one of the most important pieces and usually where really all marketing agencies that you've probably dealt with have failed you. Appointment booking is crucial. You can get the worst of quality leads, but if your appointment booking system and qualification system tied to that is very good, you will still get results, even if the marketing agency is garbage. So appointment booking, very, very key. We aim to have a lead come in and our appointment team get in front of them by phone, text, email, whatever it is, within less than 5 minutes. And that's not just sending one text out, it's sending a text out, giving a call, and sending a follow-up email and dropping a voicemail to ensure that they know we're there for them on a very rapid basis. We do that because if you can contact that lead within less than 5 minutes, your chance of getting in touch with them to start is over 300% higher than if you waited 10 or 15 or 20 minutes or the next day. And also your chance of booking them into an appointment, even if it's just a further call, is over 200% higher. That's what's going to allow us to ensure that we can get them over the line and we can convert the highest amount of high quality only leads. Because by this point, anyone who said they're low budget or they're not interested in talking or otherwise, they've already been filtered out, right? We might bring 100 leads in here, and after we filter them, we're ending up with 20 or 30 leads. So those 20 or 30, we want to make sure we get in front of them because those are high quality. Those are the right type of folks we're after. They have the budget we're after, everything like that. So we want to get them to our team as quickly as possible. And then immediately after that, hand them over to our qualification system. Really, all I mean by that is we typically work with our clients on what qualification is the best of fits, what things are red flags based on what we see versus what they see. And that's what our appointment team is trained on. So when they call someone up and they say, yeah, I'm not quite sure, I was thinking about this for my parents, big red flag. If they're thinking about this for someone else, that means a long timeline. That means an elongated process. Yes, it's still a quality appointment, but it's not one that's going to cycle into sales very quickly. And so for those, we would treat them as a slightly lower priority in comparison, right? We're not looking to book those folks in tomorrow to have a call or to have an in-home appointment. We might push them off a few days and leave those other spots open tomorrow, the day after, the next day for folks that are at a quicker timeline so we can get them off the market, right? It's just a difference of quality versus intent. And so that's really what this appointment booking step is all about. And then finally, our pre-sale system. So whether you book them for an initial call, we usually do that. We do an initial design concept call, which is really just a further discovery and qualifying call. Then we book them into an in-home appointment. Before either of those calls, we want them to we want them to consume information so that they know, like, and trust us. And they know, like, and trust our client. And so what that really looks like is a simple series of content that they are told they're going to have to go through. So we do say, hey, this is required information before your call, so that way we can make the most out of it and we're not wasting your time or you're wasting our time or vice versa. And we basically just send them over information about the company, usually a little walkthrough video. Hey, here's who we are. Here's our history. Here's all the amazing things about our company. We've been in business 50 years. We have 5-star reviews all over the place. It's a pure brag video, but it gets them to know who you are and the history of the company. Then we usually send them over some customer testimonials. It's always good if you can put them in front of folks who have been in their shoes, who have had their experience, and who have had an amazing transformation as a result of your work. Then we give them the crazy blitz of before and afters, right? Everybody can envision their project being done when they see someone else's go from the shabby starting point to this amazing transformation. It gets their brain working and dreaming and buying into, well, these guys can make my dream a reality. And so usually we drip those over time. So what they usually get is a page that has that welcome video. It has a bunch of testimonials. It has a few highly selected before and afters. And then they get a series of emails and messages over the coming days, depending on how long it is from when they call and when they're booked to their actual appointment. And they will get that information over time, so that way they consume it in chunks. And that way we know that by the time they're on board, they've consumed a significant amount of information about who the company is. They've consumed a bunch of information about transformations and how customers have dealt with you and how they absolutely love your work. And that way, by the time you have that appointment and you're really talking about numbers, they're already bought in mentally that you can do the job. So now it's a matter of, can you work with their budget or can you work within their constraints? So it's no longer, let us, show that we're actually the trusted source. Let us show that we're the authority. Let us show that we can do good work. You've already solved that, right? That's already down. That's already passed. That's not an issue anymore. Now it's about, can you make things work for them, for their particular scenario, any nuances they have around budget or timeline or otherwise. It makes your sales team's lives a lot easier. And that's what really gets us to this point of converting over $160,000 in jobs in just a single month. Net new. This isn't including any of their referrals or old business or otherwise. This is brand new from this campaign. Now, I touched a little bit on our remodeling growth system, the fact that it exists. Let me explain to you how that works. And if you are a fit, then it's definitely something that I would recommend hopping on a call about, because I will happily walk you through exactly how it works. and show you our exact process and systems, enough so that you could actually take it and run with it in your own business. Or if you absolutely love how we approach it, then we're happy to help install every one of these systems I'm about to walk through into your business. So that way you never need to pay another marketing agency again, and you have all the systems you need to add a significant amount of value to your business, as well as predictably add over $1 million in net new jobs every single year with high levels of predictability. So the way that our remodel system works, our growth infrastructure engine here, is it's all about 4 main pillars. That's lead flow, appointment flow, job flow, and scalability. And each of those systems is something that you need to be able to go from step 1 to step 2, step 3 to step 4. And really what that means is going from maybe 5 or 10 new jobs in a month to 10 or 20 to 30 or 40 to 50 or 60, and being able to scale into a significant size company. And each of these has their own nuances of specific systems that tie into it, but each pillar builds on top of the next. Like I explained to you over here, we have our lead acquisition, which then has a lead filtering system, which then has an appointment booking, which then has a pre-selling system. Any one of these can't just be pulled out and applied. You need this in order to filter into this, in order to pass data into this, in order to pass data into this. And that's the same for our systems here. So the lead flow system is entirely about really how do we install this system. This entire first pillar of lead flow is basically all of these mixed into one. That's just one pillar that gets you started, that gets you to the point of being able to produce jobs and produce sales in a reasonable manner. And then we start perfecting the system. So then we go from, well, how do we drive traffic via ads to, well, how do we build an organic database? How do we drive referrals? All of those things that are further going to amplify your lead flow system to go from 0 to 10 or 20 new jobs every single month consistently. Then we talk about and we install our appointment flow systems. And this is all about how do we better qualify? How do we better increase your speed to lead? So that 5 minutes or less is very, very important. And doing that on a consistent basis where folks, whether they are new leads or existing customers or prospective customers or quote in hand customers, they realize that you are treating them with a high level of urgency. Whether that's true or not, whether that's an automated system or a real person, it helps get them off of the table, meaning, out of the market and not in front of your competitors. And this appointment flow system is all about increasing that speed, that urgency, that feeling with the customer that you are really valuing that they are becoming a customer, and also making sure that you have all your systems set up to be able to handle appointments, qualify appointments, and ensure that you're talking to folks that you actually should be spending time with, not all of the other tire kickers and price shoppers and all these other things that you really don't need to be wasting time with. Once you have those first 2 systems down, these are kind of the biggest 2 pillars of driving new sales. Then we want to put into place the right systems in order to convert more jobs. So getting tons of appointments, as I'm sure many of you are already aware, is an okay problem to solve, but it doesn't solve underlying sales issues. And what that means is you can get 100 appointments and still only end up with 1 or 2 sales if you don't have the right systems to give to your team in order to help them close more deals. Now that's everything from building up authority to ensuring that customers know that you can deliver, to the right sales materials and assets to be able to show off to customers, over to ensuring that you even have the right sales team or a scalable sales team. So if you go from 10 or 20 appointments a month right now to 100, do you have the sales staff that can handle that? Do you have the installing staff that can handle it? Like, do you have the team to support all of that? And that's where our job flow system comes into play, is it's really helping you ensure that you can manage a volume of sales, convert at a higher ratio, qualify more effectively, and get folks to be more bought in before anyone is in front of them, before anyone has to drive out and sit down with that homeowner. Then really lastly to the core system is our scaling. And our scaling engine is everything to do with talent acquisition. So making sure that you have a consistent flow of installers, estimators, designers, everybody that you would need in your team, operators, controllers, CFOs, everything that you would need. We have hiring systems for all of it to scale you up to a 50, 60, $70 million a year remodeling business, because that's what we built our system based off of. And then we also have all the systems in there to help ensure that you can maximize your value per customer, because that's really important as you're scaling. It's not just about bringing in new sales all the time. It's your 1,000 customers that you've served over the last few years. How do you turn them into selling engines to have them bring you new sales consistently? So how do you increase your referral rate? How do you increase the value of those referrals? And how do you get it to a point where a referral is not just another appointment? It's basically a guaranteed sale. And all of those systems are what gets rolled into our scaling system. And that's really what we deploy, so that you have your clear path from wherever you're at right now to having a really solid team backed by a really solid way to increase your average value of customers, and as a result, increase the value overall that you generate for every new sale that comes in. Now, the last part of the system, which is not quite a core part of the system, but something that we like to focus on anyways, is enterprise value maximization. So we've bought and sold many companies over the years here, especially in the home services space. We right now own several contracting companies in the Ontario market, scaling from a couple $1 million a year up to tens of millions of dollars a year in revenue. And a big thing we like to focus on, even if the exit of those companies is 10 years away, 20 years away, 30 years away, how do we increase the value of our enterprise at all levels, so that way when the market dictates that it's a good time to exit, we're ready for that. And as some of you may have seen in the last few years, the market in the home services space was very hot. There was a lot of private equity firms and family offices and otherwise calling everybody and anybody to try and see if they could buy their companies. And we definitely experienced the same, which is why we decided to add this as an extra little element for everybody who comes into our remodel growth infrastructure system. And we train them on exactly how we increase the average value of a company by somewhere between 20 to 40% just by installing simple systems and having the right processes that are going to allow you to increase that value. And so it has multiple effects there. It's not just about when you're ready to exit. It actually also increases your ability to go to banks and acquire credit facilities, acquire better financing terms, get better support from government systems, and a bunch of other things, because you are well set up and you basically operate like a mini version of a public company in terms of the way that you process yourself, the way that you put yourself out there. And it does add a significant amount of value to both increasing the ease of your systems, both financially and otherwise, but also your ability to exit when it does make sense. So that's really how our entire system works end to end. If you're interested in talking about this system, our remodel growth infrastructure system, there is a link down below. You can actually watch a video that walks through all of it in much more detail with a lot more assets and process systems and so on, so you can really get a good sense. And like I said, you can grab a call where I'm going to walk you through this in very nitty-gritty detail for your business. And you can basically take that process and run with it and install it, and you'll get a lot of value out of it. Or you can have us install it all step by step and do all that for you and your team. But I hope this helped. And by all means, if you have questions, drop them below. Or if you want to see more videos like this, breaking down our systems and breaking down some of the results we've gotten for clients, let us know. I'm more than happy to break those down as well.